We're happy to be back.
I'm happy to be back. I've got my Kiko over here.
We've got two Kiko.
We do. The world needs more Kiko, and I've introduced it to more Kiko.
Oh my God, I'm so honored. Thank you so much. I hope she behaves well at your home.
So far, not so good. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. She's been into the celery and the matcha and like all sorts of mischief, but I'll keep an eye on her. I'll have to lock her up, put her in timeout.
If anyone noticed the story by Skye like 12 hours ago, so no, like 10 hours ago, so I had the best laugh of yesterday. Skye just replaced my face to this Barbie Kiko, and it just looks so real.
You did. I was waiting for you to come on. I'm like, what's she doing? Is she bloody bike riding again? I could come and look at what I've posted.
Yeah, I'm working on my second book, which is supposed to be released this year in May, along with Skye's new book. We are part of the Raw bundle. So yeah, stay tuned. We are very excited. Skye is going to show the best recipe yet. And I'm going to show a very deep, brutal, raw vegan journey, that the part that I even forgot. So that actually connects to today's title, right? Blindsided. So being raw vegan, we are definitely an extreme minority in in this world. It's very rare. I think it is the best diet out there, but for some reason, there are not too many people being on it for a long time. And we do the best we can. Between Skye and I, we eat well, we exercise, we are in a good mindset, we are close to the nature. And what do you do when we are diagnosed? We have both gone through that. So Skye, do you want to share your recent blindsided story?
Sure. So, as you said, we can do everything we can to feel our best. And all that chronic illness for me has gone. And I'm back on keto again. And when I'm on that, I have no pain, no issues. But then I had a skin cancer scare. And basically,
Lisa.
I had been having, and this doctor is someone who's seen things on my face before or my body, and he's like, yeah, that might go, that could be done. He's not like, that's out, that's out, that's out. And so this I had to come back for 3 times over like a 9-month period. And we were chatting and laughing as he's like rechecking it, and then he just went silent. And I'm waiting for him to talk again and being like, oh, I just, for a second I thought, but no, he just didn't talk. And I'm like, this is not good. I do not like doctors going silent, like going from like high vibe, laughing, joking, how's your Christmas, whatever.
Mhm.
And then he goes, look, have a look at this. And he zoomed in. And in fact, I was like, I don't want to see my skin that close. I'm better from a distance. But that wasn't the point. He's like, see that edges, and he showed me the transition. So, and he's tried to show, I don't have many moles on my body. So he's trying to show me a comparison. And I'm like, I had like one on my thigh. And he's like, okay, see how the outside is all even. And it makes me think always of like Dr. Emoto's work and about how we talk to ourselves and how the crystals change, because the crystals, when we talk negatively, they change to a disease shape. And when we talk positive, they're that perfect, more divine, sacred geometry shape, the
Yeah,
one we're
beautiful.
attracted to. And so the other mole is kind of more on the love spectrum. Like, it's obviously a mole is not great to have, but it's still a good shape. And the other one, you can see over time, it's just getting spotty and just going out and out and out. And
Okay, so this is a dermatologist that you have been seeing.
no, I think he's a GP he only works in a skin clinic. So in Australia, we have these skin clinics called skin cancer clinics. I thought he was a dermatologist, but Mum said they're just doctors. I would have to check that. But
Okay.
as far as I'm aware, Mum said all the people in skin clinics are GPs. But all he looks at is skin all day, every day. So he's
Okay,
obviously
you were seeing him because you were what was the
in
reason?
Australia, you should be at a skin cancer clinic. If you've ever come to Australia, you hear these people, and I saw Ted Carr recently say, "I can't tan. I'm in Australia. I've traveled the world, and you go out in the sun, and I can't tan." We are essentially under the hole in the ozone layer, right? And whether you believe that or not, if you come to Australia, people from like Europe are like, I'm going to go out the sun, get a tan, and they end up in hospital with third-degree burns. And I notice when I go to places like Hawaii or Bali, is even when you burn, you're brown red. You don't do that in Australia. You go like fluoro red, and we've been exposed 9 months of a year from a young age to the sun.
What's the
It's
UV? Sorry, what's the UV rate?
Let me have a look.
It's the
That's a good
summertime
question.
in Australia, right? So
UV
it's
rate.
higher.
Australia. People who don't tan will go over. Australians who don't tan will go overseas. They're like, I'm brown. I just don't go brown in Australia. So it says summer with 11 plus
Yeah.
next to brackets
Now,
extreme ratings is common.
yeah, it says it's 3 now, but it's gonna go up to 10, I think 9 in Sydney. That's what it says on my app.
Right. This is just an overview. It says that's today. It says with peaks reaching 16 to 17.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
really high.
So, but just in general, from a young age, you notice and you hear it often is there these people who have like paler skin do not tan in Australia. They go out, they freckle. So I don't know whether we have very good healthcare in Australia. So there's skin cancer clinics. So as I got well, I started to go to these. But what's really funny is people who are not raw vegan and not health conscious, when I've mentioned this, have gone, it's probably the sunscreen. Nobody's actually said to me, it's probably the sun. This day and age, they're like, it's probably, and I'm like, well, I don't use it, or I use minerals. So if I'm out for 15 minutes or doing my run early in the morning, I don't need it. If I have to get trapped all day, mineral sunscreen.
Mhm.
So that's another topic, right? But we have clinics which are half covered by what we have called Medicare here, so they're not very expensive to go to, and
Okay,
it's just
yes,
very, very common.
that's very interesting. So, meaning that you just in Australia, people generally just go for the skin clinics just for check like a general checkups. Is it?
Yes. Once you get to a certain age, you really want to, which I would say is your 40s.
Mhm.
Like I would say I don't know what it's like. I guess I take what I know for granted, and it's very common to have skin changes, have your skin burnt off, not so much have moles excised that have cancer cells in them, but changing, things changing, right? But it was the fact, I think what scared me, because I had something in my nose. I actually did a live one of my videos on it. He named what it is, and I have one here. It comes and goes. He goes, I can burn it off. But he goes, more than likely, he goes, it can go, and it does go, and it comes back. So he's not someone who's like, I need to take this out.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, as well, I think doctors are more mindful, in my experience, a good doctor, when you look at someone's stomach and it's cut to shreds. Like if you've seen a close up of my stomach, it's not only cut where my stomach duodenum, top of intestines are removed, there's all holes down the side where they had to tube and drain and tube and drain. That's the right side. Then below, I have 7 endoscopic scars that just overlap and overlap and overlap, which are more discreet. So a trauma scar is obviously when they have to emergency just cut someone open. Um,
Mhm.
so that's very different than people trying to be discreet, but I'm still very chopped up. And so in Australia, no one, as far as I'm aware, if you've got a good doctor, wants to keep chopping a person, because they end up causing massive problems when you just keep, and obviously, as we can see what happened, and it's not surprising, a massive trauma response when you've had so much surgery, because all my 60 surgeries were essentially, most of them were essentially down over here, even if it was my mouth or from below coming up. It was always there. So I don't, and Mum met him as well. Mum wants to change over to him from her clinic. She's like, he's so good. all this. But this is the reason I didn't go to a dermatologist, or I didn't go to a second opinion on this, is because what can happen is, you just say I went to another clinic and they're like, and mum said, don't say anything to them, see if they pick it up. How would they pick it up unless they've seen the progressive change? Like, it was a change over a period of time. The other thing is everyone's entitled to their opinion. This guy has been keeping an eye on everything on my body. You can go other places. When I was younger, I have a mole on my arm. A doctor has wanted to cut this out. I went to a dermatologist, and the dermatologist said no. I thought in my head, with all my trauma, if I start seeking other opinions, what will happen is I just don't want to be sick in the head. It'll just mess with my head. Oh no, they won't say anything, but this one has to come out. God, now I need this out. Like, that was what was going through my mind. And I felt good about this person. And so I was like so upset that someone had to cut into me again. That was my biggest thing. And I did mention that they had to sedate me the afternoon before, which really didn't make a difference when they gave me some sedatives. I was just so upset about someone cutting, and it was on the spot. I've got one patch left, like left side's not too bad. Everything
How
else has
big
been.
you got cut into?
Can you see? I have photos of it progressively. I wasn't sure whether I was going to show it or not, but like down here, I don't know if you can see. It's out now. Can you see? It's here across to here. So what's that?
Oh, wow.
It's hard to see. I'd have to do a picture with a ruler. I should have taken a picture with a ruler, which I can. But
They did a really good job, though. I mean, it's almost gone.
So I will say something which I've never mentioned before about my skin and about my healing abilities is, although I have had so many problems, even that massive scar, it healed like exponentially. Like
Wow.
most people get like keloiding, these big bulges. None. I will say I am blessed in that sense. Thanks, Dad. I've got Dad's skin. I like heal really well in that part. So that it more than like it's that no one else is going to see it. No one else sees anything but the big one. And a lot of people think it's a six pack. When I was younger, it looked more like a six pack. And a lot of people are like, wow, you work out. I'm like, yeah. So
I love it. I love your positive attitude. Yeah, it does look like a six pack.
Thank you. So that's, I heal very, very well. That wasn't a worry too much of me. When you look down, you can see dots, but only I see them, as I said. And so he cut it out. And then I was in a fair bit of pain, but I think there's a pain response in my body, which is just overactive with mast cell activation, where I feel things. And the memory, it felt every time I moved my body, it felt like a laparoscopic scar, which I've had plenty of those across my gut in my life. And so that took about 4 or 5 days. And then I had to wait 10 days for the result. And what I noticed about a week ago is, I mentioned it in our podcast last week, is I started to get FND and chronic fatigue symptoms. So I started to like shake or start to like make weird noises. But I wasn't anxious about the meeting. There was no thoughts in my brain. So this is probably my trauma response, because I've been through so much. My body puts me in pain not to think of. And I was being able to do my lives, or ending a few of them early, and then I would just rest. And I was thinking I was getting through. Then all of a sudden, my stomach got so upset. So it's the night before I was on the party, and I was having panic attacks in podcast all day. My whole nervous system, I mean, people probably couldn't tell. But my heart would just start racing, and I was really quiet in a few videos that I did. Like, Lucky Tony had lots to say, especially in that one. Then I ended the other ones early. My stomach was so upset. I was now shaking all the time, where you lose control of your body. And off the back of that, I was just so exhausted, which I think could have just been my nervous system, but the chronic fatigue, which seems to have lifted a lot today, which I still had after. So I was so sick, I couldn't get back to the clinic. I couldn't get up to get back. So I called them, rested that day, which is probably worse because I'm still sitting with it, right? And then by the time I saw it's still going there, the results in my head weren't bothering me as much as all these symptoms. Like just a
Mhm.
ton of all these, like upset stomach. Was having panic attacks, kept having like rocking and making weird noises, and so that was all Wednesday, and then into Thursday. And then, of course, I got there and he's like, you can keep the smile on your face. It was at like level 1 to 2, and it's like full blown melanoma at 4. Okay, so what he took out and excised is great for level 1 and 2, where they just clear out the whole area. Okay, if it gets up to 3 and 4, they have to obviously do other things where they have to cut in and into lymph, and then I think there's a chance you need radiation and how far it's gone. So, and he's like, we'll just keep an eye on that, that nothing comes up. But he goes, I excised a huge amount. It's called like dysplasia in stages 1 and 2, where the outside starts to change. It's graded. So came away from that, and a lot of the symptoms just disappeared except the chronic fatigue, but off the back of what I've just been through, um, doesn't surprise me. A little frustrating. My biggest thing, what upsets me the most mentally, is losing everything. So in my life is I have continually gotten sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker over my entire life. From about 8 years old, I did well for 4 years. From 16, I've just gone downhill. Anybody knows me is I can get up for a bit, but just got sicker. Found raw foods and got better. So what happens is every time I get something like shingles, which I had a recurrence of, which wasn't as bad as when I ate a different diet, a paleo diet. What else have I had? I broke my foot, my toe this time last year. And then the other thing is this mole. But every time you stop me or you get me sick in some way, my head thinks I've lost everything. It thinks I'm never getting, because that's what's happened. Like even when I was 8 till about 10, I had to stop dancing instead for my swimming. Everything stopped. And I was blessed that I think because I had youth on my side, but once I had full blown hormones in my system, that congenital disease caused so many problems that my biggest fear, and this is the only thing that brings tears to my eyes, is that you put me in a bed and I think this is it for now. My brain doesn't think it has a future. It literally, and I think that's why. So I don't even think of the results. I don't even care. I just care that I've lost my running, my ability to make my food, to do podcasts. That's like the thing that I don't like.
It's so interesting. I mean, you have this. I love listening to your story because you can analyze it very clearly, which is rare for people who are going through this kind of trauma or incidents. And yeah, everyone's response is interesting, but it's great that you can understand that's coming from your past trauma. Yeah, like your body remembers it.
Yeah, mum says the same. I think the key to it, and it doesn't mean you have to be online, but when people have cut into you for so many years, you are, especially where I had a lot of my surgeries, you're pretty much naked. Okay, so rooms and rooms and rooms. So you just get used to it, right? So I kind of feel very exposed. Then when you're in a psychiatric unit
Mhm.
for long periods, you have no rights. So you feel like everybody's watching you change, watching you. You're very, so there's no difference for me being online and being so open. I really, especially when you've had mental health problems, you kind of feel everybody knows anyway. So, but you don't have to do that. But I am very honest with myself. Like,
Mhm.
and as I said, is I don't mind doing it online because I know it helps people. But however you do, you don't even have to share it with people. Share it with your diary. The more honest you can be with yourself, and just be like, I swear it will help you with your mental health. And it helps with your mental health because you're aware of where you are. You don't have to become it. It is just part of the story. And that's so important for survival, I'd say, after the age of 35, for anybody, maybe the age of 30. Everyone's been through so much. How do we keep going forward? I have to not deny it, but be so bloody real. What can I learn from it? What have I done in the past for it? Um, and that really helps me.
Mhm. Y- Yeah, I think being true to yourself is so important, that being integrated with your core. To me, that's so important
Yeah.
to feel light and happy all day long, it's, I think, to me, that's like the only way. Like a lot of people ask me, like, why are you so happy? And of course, we are taking care of what we eat, we exercise, but also, being true to myself and others, that makes a huge difference on my happiness, right? I mean, you.
Yes. And when I think what happens when I, like, you have to remember, and this, we got into this discussion on my page about ayahuasca. And it's not for me because I've been in psychosis, dissociated, been in a totally different reality. I don't need something cracking open my reality that's already happened. But finding the when you've been in that place and you've lost everything and you've been as sick as I have, and all you want to do is eat, sleep, swim, and have a job. Like that's all. You do not want more. You're like, if I even got a roof, like I thought if I could get like just stay on disabilities and have a roof over my head, that would be enough, right? But when you find like your life again and you started and you've lost everything, one of the biggest things is it was all me. I take full responsibility for every single thing that's happened in my life. If I ever don't, it's like you fester. Like a whole lot of, especially having addictions. Uh, and so especially having addictions and you come away from that and you lose your family and you end up homeless, right? Is you can say they don't care, they're not there for me, but how did you get into that situation? And also someone said, what caused you to go into psychosis? Well, I've had 60 surgeries. I was sick since the age of 8 up until 32. I did have 4 years when I was younger that I did well, but from 16 to 30, 40, all I did is hospitals, bed carers. Occasionally I would get well enough to do some stuff, but then back down, surgeries. And then I was like 37 kilograms and they thought I was going to die. Or my blood work was showing that I was just, it was all decreasing. They thought I had like Addison's disease and Graves' disease and that my body was just burning itself out. And I was in ICU and then I dissociated. So you can call it, they call it a break with reality. Is your
Mhm.
brain snaps to save you. Like that's the general diagnosis of what I got the first time around. Next time around, they're just throwing random things at me, but your brain goes somewhere else, so that you can live. That's all my fault. If I ever choose to take a script out of the hand of a doctor, I'm choosing them to dictate my future. And when you hold that true, you can do the deepest healing you've ever known. If you get stuck blaming someone or something else or some institution, you do not move forward. You will fester in that. So I still take estradiol. Yes, it's not patented. It can't be because it's identical hormones. But if I take that, I choose to have some of my rights taken away. And I'm okay with that. I find the benefits so good. But if you walk in and take anything from a doctor, hospital, a person, is you are handing over part of yourself. And what I had to know is all my relationships around me healed, the more I loved me. So from rock bottom, the more I was in nature, I picked good food choices. I would eat outdoors. I would practice self love on me. I love me. I love nature. I was feeling all this. I'm going to make good choices. Today, you're just going to, stay inside. You can paint your nails. You're not going to drink. You're not going to vape. All that work meant that when I turned up and spoke to family again, I saw life in a completely different reality. I mean, at no point was anyone trying to harm me. Most people's intentions do not come from harm. And if they do, how did I get in that situation? There's another analogy that I think about because is when I was younger and I was in a lot of pain, if I could get up and go, I'd want to go out where there's alcohol and smoking to not feel more, right? And if I did that, I'm putting myself around a more risky situation. So just say I fall or I'm attacked. I'm not sitting in like at home reading a book. I'm not spending the time during the day in a park. That's my responsibility. I know these risks. I choose to enter the risks. And when you see your life in this way, you can do some very good healing and be very real. It's me. It's me. What did I do? How did I change? It's probably the greatest gift you can give yourself.
Oh my God, Skye, you're beautiful. I love
Oh.
you, and I'm so proud of you. I being a coach, I have been a coach, and I can immediately see who gets up fast and who would unfortunately stay on their dark zone. And the first very step is, pointing at yourself. What did I do to get myself here? And it's, you think this is harsh, but this is the most powerful thing. It's the fastest way and most sustainable way to keep yourself in a good place. No, yeah, just like you said, most people are not trying to harm you. They're just
No.
going through their own, drama, and they're just reflecting what they're going through internally at you, and has nothing to do, it's like, stop feeling so, oh, poor me. It's just,
Yeah.
people think that I'm harsh when I say that. It's, how did you get here, right?
Mm.
I have some of my friends leaving me, because sometimes I have to let them know you need to snap out, because it's just not helping to feeding them by, oh, I'm sorry you're feeling, that's not fair. And I do say certain things like this in a certain situation, but it's just not helping that person. You need to take the full responsibility, and that's the easiest and fastest way to get out.
Also, that why this is so powerful is if it was all your fault in your past, your future is all in your hands. No one has any control but me. And so any decision I make, especially if you eat and it's worth in this life experiencing who you really are. And that is grab some fresh food and go to a beach, spend time by yourself. And you can process a lot just by doing that. You don't need a lot of fanciness. If I can do it at rock bottom, other people can do it as well. But if you take responsibility for, like, even how did I end up in a psych unit? Well, I was prescribed ADHD medication. There are risks. I have had all these surgeries and traumas, like all these medications are in me. The doctors own me. You know, that's the thing. It's a choice.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
So, and we all, and people can say it happened when I was younger. Maybe the soul had to experience that. But when you're 18, it is your choice. And but the most powerful part of owning that is the
Mm.
future is mine. Whatever happens in my future is also mine. And
Mm.
with that, I'm much more careful as to what I put in, and I go through what it means to open myself up to
Mm.
any experience. Like that's the most powerful thing. Is the reason I feel I've got so far is because I owned my past. And if not, a lot of it, if you get trapped, you can just destroy yourself, and it's not worth destroying yourself over.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and let's go back to this topic of, being blindsided, and we feel like we've done everything we can, right? Like, you have been putting so much effort to your wellness, right? You have exercise, you're eating great. I mean, everything you eat is designed to make you feel good, right? And when you
Yes.
feel like you're blindsided, and I have gone through that same way. It's like, why me? Like, some people are eating McDonald's and this seems to be fine. Like, how do you what would you say to that?
So first of all, I would say their reality is a lot denser than mine. So when I say, oh, I'm going through a hard time versus them going through a hard time, they're in the pits, but they're used to it. Right? When I used to eat dense, do dense, is my reality when I complain is a lot worse. The other thing is each time I've gone through these things, I've found solace in something different. So most of the first part of my journey, this is actually interesting. Most of the first part of my journey has been completely about food choices to get me out of the rough or nature. So it's been a very, what do you want to call it, the hero's journey or your solo journey, where it's all about me and my decisions. And I've needed that, having full-time carers and being like, away from not knowing myself. So, I had shingles and I juiced to get out of it. So I went higher into, maybe you call it cleansing, whatever you want to call it. And then when I broke my foot, broken bone is, I was actually stuck back at my parents' house again. So I had all this other trauma of being, am I going to get up? I'm back exactly where I was. I'm on pain medication for my foot. Is this just all happening all over again? And it was about me just staying true to me once again. What was really interesting about this time, and this came up when I first went, I was, let's say, I quit calling it, instead of calling it keto, I keep calling it Kiko. When I went keto and I was doing my walks, it was like nature. You get downloads. Said, you don't have to rely on me so much now. You're free to kind of be back in reality type thing. That I had been really, if you've been very high raw, you know, if you eat grapes and sit on a beach, you can literally hear the universe speak to you. I had been, obviously I was going denser, but it was like the universe is saying, like, I'm here, but you're back in your reality. And what I found really interesting about this whole process, and I had, you know, we put ourselves out. My job is I put myself out there. You know, I do my YouTube, I connect with you guys, is how much support I got and get from online, whether it's in conversations in chat, whether it's in my messages, whether it's conversations we're having online, how much I'm probably having a more normal response to trauma in what I would call like a more normal, grounded reality. So this time, it's really been, it's like learning, right? So this time has really been about like, this is life. More is going to come up like this. You just keep looking after yourself, do what feels good, talk to people about anything that's hard. And the great thing is after all these times falling, I've gotten back up. That's the greatest thing. Like, that's my biggest fear. Like, I know, I think the first time I got unwell and I was struggling on a raw food diet, there was a lot of shame around it. Now I'm like, we're all going through ups and downs, as the podcast says. Let's all just be here for each other. Like, life is like, there's a lot of denial, I think, when you first get well and you're like, I'm just going to eat fresh food and my whole world should be perfect. And then when it starts to crumble, you start to grasp onto, well, I'll juice, well, I'll do grapes, well, I'll, you know, and that all is just another experience. But it's about, be real, be around good food, good choices, good people, and just keep believing in yourself.
Mhm.
That's all
Yeah,
you can do.
it's so true. And this, it's there's a power of sharing this kind of tough story. And I was definitely inspired by you sharing my story. And some of you might know about Chef AJ's story. You know about Chef AJ's story?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's so powerful. Like, now she just had a major surgery done and she's posting live, and it's really, really powerful. I just love that she's sharing so much, in her journey. And there was like the time that she was so frustrated. She shared like, well, I've been, spending so much time on my health. And I thought that, she thought that, like, how is it possible I'm getting this? But at the same time, I've gone through that same, feeling, like, and I realized that I cannot take away of the time that I felt so good being on raw. I felt, every day I'm so vibrant. I have so much energy. And sometimes we get blindsided, and it's just, we need to take it. There's a learning process, and there's something beautiful coming out of it, right?
There is. I think and you have to remember, I think the biggest point to take away from this is you feel so much better than you would if you weren't eating this way. A really good example of this is, and that's why when people find raw food, that vibrational jump is like, I've been in hell and now I feel so good. Like, I feel so good. And we that becomes our life, where you get accustomed to that. Dramas come up. We think it's not as good, but it really is. Like, it really is. It's so good. But a good example of this is when I first went raw and I felt amazing. I had no symptoms. I was just doing so well. And then for some reason I got like a vomiting bug, or like a 24-hour vomiting bug, or like, I think I was about
Mm.
4 or 5 months in. And I remember being sick and I couldn't believe that what was coming up does not burn you. That it's literally, because I was eating, there was no nuts or seeds, there was no spice. I think I'd got rid of salt at that point. It was literally fruit, greens, and veg at this point. And so, like, even being sick, I was very aware that I did not feel like I'm going to die. Like, this is just like the end of the world. You know, when you get a stomach bug, you can feel pretty sick. I was blown away at how good I still felt. And I think we all have to remember
Mm.
that is a really important takeaway. We feel so much better because we have looked at, like, what is it? This is my 5th year now. Kiko, I'm catching up to you. um, like,
God.
you have exercised, you have worked on your mental health, you're around good people, you have good food, you just feel better.
Of 100%. And
You do.
yeah, yeah. In the beginning of my journey, I was so pissed at some point that I wasn't getting well in. Yeah,
I
because
don't hear you swear very often.
oh yeah,
So pissed. I love it. Go for it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that energy, the emotion was coming out of me, and I just said, at that time I was living in New York. I was like, oh my God, it's just why me? And then I think I was going out and eating some decadent chocolate or something, and I felt horrible, horrible. It's like back to raw vegan. It's just definitely better to be on this lifestyle than going back.
And that's a fair point too. Don't be ashamed out of your learning curve, right? And that may not be disease for some people. It may be go back and forth, back and forth. The thing I had to ask myself when I would eat cooked food and go back to bed, and I had a lot riding on it, was what are you willing to do to not be sick, not be in hospital, not feel pain? I always had so much pain. Have your
Mm.
family, not be judged, not be controlled by hospitals or doctors. It really was like, each time I made my food choice, that weighed. I would be like, the reason you're eating celery and avocado now and you're not picking up a vape and a coffee or whatever it was, is because you don't want what they represent. And it's worth doing that for yourself. Maybe grabbing like a book and writing down what the things that send you back. You can learn, right? Of course, people learn, especially at the start. But why do you not go back? And
Mm.
everyone's going to have different reasons, but those foods, and that's why, because I know, like, I do things now, like I have supplements and oils and stuff, and to some people they're not raw. The reason I will always call myself raw unless I physically cook something and eat something like hot and cooked is because there's just too much leeway for me if I start calling myself high raw, that I will go, oh well, if I'm high raw, I may as well just have a bit of sweet potato. For me, that still represents at this point how sick
Mm.
I was, just because there was that, which I guess makes more sense now as I post more and people see how quickly I will get better, but just by changing a few things in my diet. Like, I couldn't get up for a couple of months with shingles. I juiced. The next week I'm doing Pilates. It was kind of the same when I started doing the grapes. Is I had a lot of pain, and then I'm just up. But the biggest one is like is keto. Is I have no symptoms when I seem to do it, and that's like almost within a couple of days they just stop. It's the same thing, and that is what mast cell activation is like. Is
Mm.
sick as a dog, and then once the histamine's clear, is how usually wherever, if you've been working on, like me, like running, Pilates, good food, you'll bounce back high. You know,
Mm.
if you're very sick like I used to be, you're not bouncing back really far at all when they stop, if they stop.
Mm. I love listening to your journey because it clearly shows that you're the best person to choose what's best for you, right? A lot of people just focus on this expert or
Mm.
doctors or herbalists or whatever, and they let them choose for you, which is great. At some point, I've done that a lot as well. But listening to your journey, I've I'm always reminded that you have to do this fine tuning on your own. Like no one knows better than you yourself what's best for you.
And a good example of that is just when I share something I'm doing. Just say it's at the time I'm doing watermelon, or at the time at the moment I'm doing keto. Is I'll have a lot of people say, I am similar to you. But I have a lot of people describing how they do it, and it's very different to me. And I'll have people doing, oh no, I do whole foods, or I do more protein. You've got people explaining what they do. And the worst thing society does is have a whole heap of people go, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. The more we let society feel through, and we're not talking about processed things where there's still an intermediate man, right? So if you get some sort of drug or miracle cure, is you're doing it on behalf, you are inviting this person into your reality. They're
Mhm.
controlling you. So if something goes wrong, you can't blame them. It was your decision to invite them in. But when you talk about making food decisions, is you feel that out. Only your body is going to respond. And that's based on, there's a lot of science on this, the microbiome of your parents, how that relates to gene expression in the body. It doesn't just happen right now, but it's happened because of your parents and your ancestors past, and where you live and your disease, and have you pushed your gut too much? And that's just one thing. So that feedback's so cut off. Like, it's so, like, when I think about how, like, people are like, oh, this feels good because protein's in. Like, how does it actually feel? Nobody knows. And the more chemicals I believe people have in their system, the less connected they are to what is going on in
Mm,
their body.
yeah.
I have been diagnosed with severe B12 deficiency and subsequently uh, pernicious anemia. I recently realized I was in psychosis and kind of still am. Were you able to function while you're in psychosis? So, psychosis or being detached from reality is so dangerous because, I'll give you an example, is you can be on a road, but your reality is saying you're not on a road, and there's
Mm,
cars going. So it's like being a baby. You'll just walk out. That's like a huge risk. I would be asking myself why you're in psychosis. So if you have a severe deficiency that can be fixed, I would get it fixed for sure. That's just what I would do. Um, but if not, is once I ate just fresh foods and spent my whole day out in nature, you can't not ground. But when it comes to B12, you are going to want support. Though I healed myself with very, very deficient B12, I'm missing the part of my stomach, and I couldn't get infusions for months because my liver was failing. So, but that doesn't mean that I didn't eventually have it injected again. So
mm, yeah,
it's that's
definitely.
the
think that-
risk.
Yeah, I I think in November when I got my blood test, my B12 was very low, so I started taking the supplements. I stopped taking it already because what I noticed was that eye twitching.
It
What I
stopped.
Yeah, I stopped. I thought it was magnesium because I was going through a very stressful time for my work,
Yeah.
and I was traveling so much, and I wasn't eating ideal like at home with these huge smoothies, right? And um yeah, I was taking magnesium. And this is why I feel this blood test is fantastic, because I just assume it was magnesium because my husband had the same thing, eye twitching, and once he started taking magnesium, it just went away.
Oh
And I
wow.
was yeah, and then when I got tested, magnesium was too much. I mean, a little too much, and then B12 was deficient. And usually I don't have this issue. I have been on the plant based for like almost 30 years now. Not vegan, but like vegan for 11 years or 12 years or so now. But I have been like cutting on meat gradually for over 30 years. And I never really had this B12 issue unless I lost a lot of blood. Then that was a whole different story.
Mm.
So anyway, it was great that I found that I was deficient in B12, and yeah, it just went away. So
Oh, that's good. So, what I will say, what is the scariest thing about B12 is I have seen, I love TikTok because I love people telling their story as to what's happening. They're in their pajamas, they're like, this is just my story. That it's not like and you start to see a trend of people who have similar or dissimilar experiences. And the one about B12 is quite scary, where quite often it's medical doctors, people who are should be very aware of this, have become so deficient in B12. And I guess it's, I don't know how it's missed, but they end up in like wheelchairs near death. Like their whole nervous system, like you're talking about that twitch in your eye, is their whole nervous system stops working. So it's really important for nerve regulation, B12. And like this is the thing, right? I feel like the lesson I had to learn was that yes, like I'm like, everything is fruit. Fruit's the best. I should just be eating fruit. Fruit's the way. God gifted it to us. But God also gifted us this planet in whatever state it is in. And you can choose to be in the reality, or you can choose to. I feel like if I just ate fruit, I would just be in an all hell by this stage, right? And that is because there's lessons. I mean, I am God. God is in me, is part of me, source, nature, whatever you want to call it, is that the universe wants me to be where I am. And that means taking on the responsibility. The planet is in like a dark energy where some things are needed to be supplemented. I've got 8 organs missing. Like on that part, do I need things? It took me a while to get back here mentally, but I'm much better at like regulating for myself, or knowing that this is the reality I want to be in. And I do feel like and it's just, to me, it's something which I was always very aware of, is the planet is in a dense reality. It's not
Mm.
all fruit and fairies, right? It has different levels of densities, and I'm here for the experience. So
Yeah.
that's where those sort of things come to play for me.
Yeah, that's great. And Dr. Brooke Goldner, who's known for the Goodbye Lupus, she always mentioned that get that medical help. Like there are certain things we need to get the help right away. And I like that approach. Don't be dogmatic in this diet. It's great to get some help. We have we are in a great place where we can go on a raw vegan journey, and at the same time when we need those help, there is a help, and I love that. I think I was denying it for such a long period of time.
And I did that. And to me, it's like denying part of myself. Like I see myself as, I like to see everyone around me as just a different version of me at a different time. And when I do that, I'm like, well, they're just here for that experience now. And I have to remember that I think what I don't like is where, and this is just probably something I have to work on myself, that I even think of this, I haven't thought of it in a while, is where people go to doctors and they're eating McDonald's, they're drinking, they're smoking, and they've got this list of medications that they're on that are doing a job that their body can quite easily do. In the
Mm.
reality we're in, if you look after yourself, and that doesn't even mean you have to go raw vegan, just start going into the direction of making better choices and having your body run efficiently. It's very different than being hit by a car and you need to be rushed in to have a broken leg looked at or something.
Mm.
Even that, being like on looking after yourself, you will heal a lot better. You take a lot of pressure off hospitals and people who work in there. You don't need as much medication. We're doing everything, so we not. It's always, I think Tony brought it up again. I used to think of this. When you're a vegan, you think first of animals. She put it in this perspective. When you're raw vegan, you think of the planet, you think of people around you, you think of animals, you think of, it becomes this, you don't just weigh up one area. That is like when I was vegan, it was always like, I'm just going to eat this for the animals. I'm going to eat this because I don't want to eat anything with a face. And I wasn't very conscious of it because I spent most of that time in psych units. But
Mm.
it is very true. Once I became raw vegan, is every decision I make, and that is huge, is that you are putting your health on the responsibility of somebody else. If you do that, their decision, if it harms you, was your choice. Always your choice.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. There's
Yeah.
definitely deeper story. Yeah.
So this is very important. So I had temporary paralysis on my left. This is a person who's deficient in B12 on my left side. I'm so grateful it came back, because I've also seen people who ended up in wheelchairs. That's the story that gets, and it gets missed somehow because these people are so sick. They're not looking for correcting things on blood tests. And it's also, a blood test will only show what's tested. And if somebody's not testing B12, they don't know. Like, it's not like the blood test shows everything, and it shows what's tested. So I hope that you've got some B12 going
Mm.
through your body and you're looking after yourself, and that you'll get better.
Yeah, it's scary, and you get through. There's so much help out there. Just find the right doctor that you feel you
Feels
can
good.
trust, right? Um,
100%. So I'll
yes.
be on injections for life, they say. So I'm not sure which injections. you'll
But
be on.
take one step at a time. I don't know if you're taking
Yes.
B12, but take B12. It takes time. For me, it took me that eye twitching. I thought it would go away within a few weeks, but it took me 2 months. It did reduce that eye twitching intensity, but it took probably good 2 months for it to just completely gone. So, we need to be generous with the time frame, because how much time we have been doing this kind of lifestyle, maybe stressing ourselves, not getting a good sleep. Like, sleep is so important. I love my delicious sleep. I
Oh,
just,
delicious sleep. Look what is next to me. This might scare me. If I have nightmares, I blame you, Kiko.
oh my God.
No, you're not next to my bed. Don't worry. You're out here. You're hanging in
You
the kitchen. My celery goes missing, though.
still you should put like diamond in her eyes. That would
What? Poke her in the eye? Why? Why would
it
I do
would
that?
so it would scare you at night.
Oh my God, you're scaring me now. What do you mean at night? No, I'm not opening the box. She's a collect. Oh, look, there's a German and Norwegian, guys. There's a whole. I already saw. So I've been speaking to Marabella, and she has Barbie collections, and she showed me some photos of one, and I'm like, oh my God, it's her. I have to find a JJ one. I have to have you all sitting up there. That's creepy. Sitting up on my dehydrator.
Oh my God, so pretty. That's it.
Oh, look, she's doing a little ceremony.
Oh
You do that,
yeah,
Kiko. That's
that's
you at your little cafe.
that's so cute. Oh, I love it that I'm there in
Oh, I
spirit.
love having you there. She's perfect. I'm so glad I ordered her.
Oh,
I think she looks like you a lot.
really?
I do. Like I do. I've seen other ones. So another few have come up. I don't think as much. But that one, like, yeah.
Yeah, it's great that that was a very quick buy, right? You just found this so quick.
Oh yeah, I was like, but okay, this is where my past is coming into my reality. I love to do actually a podcast on this because it's really coming up for me now. So I've spoken a lot about how when I dissociated or like lost part of myself back in 2007 is I've been on this journey to rediscover Skye. I've never felt the same. It was like instantly I flipped into a different person. Or when you think back, there's no emotional memory there, whether it's sad or happy, I can't feel anything, which meant I can't feel who I was. And what's happening now, and keto seems to be really amplifying this, is I'm able to remember more of who I was and assimilate parts of her into my life. And that being that those fairies that I brought up in the Raw Magic podcast, like I couldn't open them. I used to have fairies around my bed when I was really sick. It was like parts of myself I'd like completely, you could show me, but I couldn't have them near me. It almost made me sick, really. Now I'm joy when I'm around them. They're up here close by. So I used to collect dolls. I used to have like a little mermaid doll. And then my niece was born and she looked like a little
Really?
mermaid. She had the little red hair and the blue eyes. So I gave it to her and she destroyed it in 2 seconds when she was 3. I'm like, oh, look at that real little mermaid. Yeah, my mermaid. Anyway, so the doll thing, the reason I was like, I want this doll is because there was a part of me that used to have them. Above my niece has
Oh,
bought me Sleeping Beauty because I was always in bed asleep. And I don't know where that doll is, but so that part of myself, it's reopened. And I feel like I'm really in this space now of all these parts of myself, which I'm turning into the light. Like I feel like a lot of it was like survival in the dark, but now I'm bringing them through in the light. Yeah, Koala Mama saw the video. She had a good laugh. Me opening the doll.
I love it. Oh, I just want to close what said. That yeah, so she's getting the B12 injection. That's great.
That
There's
is
some people
great.
who, yeah, I
I
mean,
have
you
to do
should be
that.
happy. You should be happy that there's this help like this. There's a
Yes.
tablet form, there's an injection form. That's great. Don't think about rest of your life, but it's great that there is help.
Yeah, and you'll find over time as you get healthier, you'll need less and less and less
Mm,
as you look after yourself more. And that's why we look after ourselves so we don't have to have, because I know I was really in dense reality. I needed an injection every 3 months. I think
mm.
even sometimes it was every 6 weeks. My body would just not take the B12 up. Now, once a year, and the doctor said that's too much. She goes, do it less.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, it's we can there is the more you look after yourself, the less you need to rely on someone else.
And just one more thing, before we go, you've mentioned also that you were able to cry. This might be a whole another
Oh
topic,
yeah.
right? That's great because you were mentioning that you were blocked and you couldn't
I was
cry.
cry
Can you talk
constipated.
about it?
Yeah, I have. I had some big cries like over this past week. So that's good too. And I've slept a lot better. But I will say, and I'm about to jump on and do a live, because I have found that algae oil was the capsules made me sick, as in so I have to open them and suck the oil out. But man, the difference of my brain when I have it is like really good. But the plastic capsule, the veggie capsule, it bothers my system. But I don't have the top part, so oil doesn't. But that really has helped me, the
Wow.
sleep and the focus and less inflammation, regulating my hormones. So yeah.
Yeah, you're like showered by sea, right? You're close to sea, you're swimming, and you're also getting the sea moss, and you're getting
I
the
am. I was thinking I'm like a mermaid. I'm like, I'm getting the algae, I'm getting and I just think it's that this planet has been very mineral deprived, but we have the beautiful ocean. Well, the land has been mineral deprived. And
mm,
yeah, we are very blessed for the ocean and what it can provide us.
wow, that's great. Yeah, so anyone who's interested in learning more about that algae oil, that's what you're gonna talk about in your
Oh,
life.
that, yeah, and just like go through some of the things I've been going through. I've also got a couple other things I've added in I was going to share as well.
That's great. Well, excellent. Well, I had so much fun again. It
Yay!
was Kuala Mama said it was hilarious. I think she's referring to the
Yeah,
video that she
the
said.
opening, Kiko.
I had a good, great. Well, it was the huge hair
Oh my
going on,
God, if
right?
you haven't yet, go have a look at how I posted the thumbnail, and I cut out Kiko's head and put the doll's head on my story. So
That was
it's my head and the doll. I'm gonna
hilarious.
cry. I'm gonna cry laughing.
All right. Well,
Oh,
thanks everyone for joining, and I
thanks,
learned so.
guys.
I love you. I love listening to your story. It's always so interesting and inspiring. And thanks to Kuala Mama and I don't know how to pronounce M test, right? M.
What?
It, the person who was commenting
Oh, is it
um,
like
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mallory, everyone's comment, I really appreciate it.
Bye.
So
I'll see
bye.
you
See you
soon.
next week.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.